Coming up on the program, we've got a bed that's not doing so well, so we're going to add some compost and do some cover cropping. And we're going to get some fall lettuce planted. All that and more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored in part by, for all your non-GMO, heirloom, organic, vegetable, flowers, and herb seeds, visit dollarseed.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil, retains moisture and adds nutrients, which equals less watering. Available in Sioux organic seed starting kits, pre-filled trays and pots, bag and bulk. Visit SiouxCompost.com. Don't poison your soil with municipal water. Attach a body, mind, and soil hose and filter. Free shipping exclusively through the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Just click on the body, mind, and soil icon. Authentic Haven brand soil conditioner for the home gardener. Easy to brew, 100% organic. Visit ManureTea.com. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. We're on the back side of the garden here where we initially planted red cabbage. Then that didn't do well, so we decided to put some peas in here. That as well did not do well. We do have one green cabbage here that is doing decent. It's got a baseball-sized head on it, as well as we have a variety of volunteer tomatoes. We've got some, this is a Brandywine variety of some sort, some cherry varieties, and I'm not certain what this is. These, again, volunteers came up all by themselves, don't know nothing about them. But what we're going to do here is, since we've had issues twice now this year with the peas and with the red cabbage in this bed, we're going to take some certified leaf compost and put it on top of the bed. Then we're going to take some alfalfa sprouts, which you can get from Dollar Seed. You can, anything that's a sprout you can grow and use it for another purpose. We're going to take this as a cover crop. Now, a cover crop is a variety of different crops, buckwheat, any legumes, alfalfa, anything like that, and there's a variety of them that's available. What that's going to do is it's going to help fix nitrogen into the soil. Legumes or fixed cover crops that fix nitrogen into the soil, when you pull the roots out, you'll see little bumps on the roots. That's why we want to leave the roots in. Those little bumps or nodules have small amounts of nitrogen in them that releases into the soil. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this bed, is 10 foot long by about 3 foot wide, and we're not using the back 3 foot here. So we really only got 7 foot of bed here because I'm not ready to pull the cabbage up. I'm not ready to get rid of tomatoes that are about to put fruit on that are volunteers. That's no work for us, and we'll get something out of it. So what we will do here is we'll take a bag of certified leaf compost, and we're just going to top dress the bed with it, and then we will go ahead and plant in the compost. Now, yes, compost should be enough to help this bed with the problems that it's facing, and each year we add more compost to these beds, but I want to add even more of a bonus or more of a help to it with the cover crop that fixes nitrogen. Now, over the winter months, look at that, there's worms in the compost here, and that's great to see. This is a living organism. You're not going to find worms in that store-bought stuff you get at the big box store, whether it's compost or potting soil. I can tell you that right now. So we're going to level this off to a height of about an inch, inch and a half maybe in some locations here. Take her all the way back to the cabbage and try to get an even layer. Now, over the winter months and through the early fall and late fall, when it does rain, this will push a lot of this nutrients into the soil and begin breaking the soil up and allowing the earthworms to come and the microbial bacteria to come and start getting the soil back to a level of healthiness that it needs to be, so we can come in here next spring and plant whatever we decide to plant. So now that we've got that leveled off, we want to go ahead and take what we're going to use is alfalfa sprouts, or you can use, it's an alfalfa seed that you can use, you can grow sprouts with in your kitchen, but we're going to take and plant it here. Now the point to a cover crop is not to let it grow to maturity. Alfalfa in big ag industry, if you allow it to grow, it will grow 24, 30 inches high and put on flowers. And then that's when you, right before it puts on flowers, or right at the time it puts on flowers, you go ahead and cut it for animal feed. In this instance, we don't want to wait for it to get to that maturity level. We simply want to get, about 8 to 10 inches high, and you want to do this early enough in the summer to where it can establish good roots. And then once it gets that high, we just shear it back, chop and drop, as they say, and let it break down over the winter months. And that's what the intentions of, hopefully we get enough warm days here, we can get a good germination and get some growth here to where we can cut, chop, and drop it before winter hits. Now, if it gets to the point where it gets too cold to chop and drop and it grows right up to frost, then it naturally will take care of itself, because we're not wanting to get to mature state. Now, these are very small seeds, and we're just going to broadcast them over. The nice thing about planting in this compost here, these seeds are a brown, light brown color. The contrast to the compost makes it very easy to see where we are planting these. I don't want, I don't want a heavy concentration of seeds in one particular area, but I certainly want to get a good coverage so we can get ample amount of nitrogen fixing alfalfa roots in the soil. Now, we want to just rake over gently to just put these seeds slightly under the soil. And we don't need to water them because that compost is extremely moist, which is a good thing. And that's as simple as it is to start planting a cover crop. Anything you see here, the seeds are kind of, we can put a little water to it and mix it in. So if you have a large area that is having problems with nitrogen or plant growth problems, you want to investigate your problem, because it may not be a nitrogen problem. Your pH may be too high or too low. You may have a lack of potassium or phosphate in the soil that can greatly reduce the productivity of your plant. One of the telltale signs of a lack of nitrogen in the soil is a discoloring of leaves. If a plant's supposed to be super green and they're more of a yellowish green type of color, you may not have enough nitrogen in your soil. And you can certainly get a soil test and send it off to your local university, and based on how much you pay them, they will tell you as much detail and more detail about what your soil needs or doesn't need, and how many years in the future you may need to add or not add certain nutrients and minerals. So creating a cover crop, pretty simple to do, whether it's necessary for you for in the fall here, so we can get this stuff to grow, chop and drop, and so it can fix the nitrogen into the soil. Growing in containers is a great way to expand your growing area, whether you have ground to grow in or not. This is corn that we grew in the root maker. Now, the root maker was not the fault of what you see here. The fault was the lack of moisture that we gave the plant. We had some very hot days, a couple of weeks of very hot weather. Now, this is what, there's two things that has happened here. One is the plant became very stressed because of the lack of moisture. Two, corn requires a tremendous amount of nutrients for it to grow correctly. So what has happened here, when the soil started to dry out, the plant, and this is across the board, any plant, when it becomes stressed, it's going to immediately stop growth of the plant. It's going to stop trying to put vertical growth on and do everything it can to reproduce itself by growing seeds. Whether this is a tomato or a zucchini, a pepper, it doesn't matter. Same thing here. The corn got stressed and it immediately tried to develop an ear to carry on the traits of this particular variety. It didn't make it, but that is what has happened here. We've all seen people grow corn successfully in containers, whether that be a root maker or a bucket or anything in between. The key is adequate moisture, adequate nutrients, and the end result will be much, much different than what we have here. This is a failure, yes, but it shows what can happen when you don't adequately water the plants that need the moisture the most. So growing in containers is a great way to expand your growing area, learn from your mistakes, whether you have ground to grow in or not. We want to try to harvest our green beans at a edible stage, whatever stage you feel that or your family likes to eat them, whether they get big and bulky or very small and tender. Well, sometimes you may neglect and forget to pick your beans, and they begin to die on the vine, or they become very oversized and very fibrous. So what we want to do here is, we just don't want to throw these in the compost pile. If you do have an area of beans that have been neglected, forgot about, you can harvest, you can do two things here. You can go ahead and harvest them, which we're going to do with these here. Here's one that you might be a little on the smaller side, but that's a very edible pod or a bean there. These are more fibrous, but they are edible if you cook them down. This here is past the edible stage because it has changed colors, and it's got nice seeds inside of it. So there's a couple of options to what you can do here is. Again, you could cut these down small, eat them, pick the small ones, eat them. Or if they're at a stage where they're too far gone, simply leave them on the plant here, and they'll begin to change yellow or change color and begin to die off and dry up. And there you have next year's planting seeds ready to go. But with any vegetable, if you continue to harvest off of it, it will continue to put fruit on. If we let this go, this is about as far as it's going to go because it's already got a number of pods and the plant already thinks it's got enough for reproduction for next year. So keep an eye on your beans while they're growing in your garden. So it's getting late in fall and we would like to get some lettuce planted. Now we have lettuce going to seed over here. This is what we planted very early in the spring. Now what we're going to do here is, this is our makeshift raised bed back here up against the garage, and we're just going to plant a variety of leaf lettuce that we saved from a year ago. Now this here was off 6-7 plants, and there's about 70,000 seeds approximately in this container here. So what we're going to do here is, we're not going to overseed, but we want to heavily seed because we have the seeds available and we want to make sure we get good coverage. Lettuce typically will take 60 days to reach maturity. So this may not reach maturity as per se, but we will be able to get some of the early growth, basically baby lettuce, if you want to call it that, on in this back bed here. So we're just going to take and and just be pretty generous with it. We got Swiss chard growing on this end of the bed. Now I've probably planted 300-400 seeds there, but then we'll just take our rake, gently cover the seeds up, because these are small seeds so they don't need a lot of soil coverage, and we'll come in here and hit it with the watering can from a rain barrel. So it's pretty easy to get some lettuce planted. This can also be done in a container on your porch, patio, or deck, or a little pop-up raised bed as well. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next time for more organic gardening and food preserving. I'm Joy Baird, and this has been the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.